Sure.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are here with another session from our meetup groups. And for tonight, I'm excited to have Leila joining us a bit later to show us an overview on Azure machine learning. So let's dive in and get on with tonight's session right away. A bit of housekeeping as usual. We have our LinkedIn groups. We renamed our meetup groups from Brisbane AI to APAC AI community. So feel free to join and subscribe to our meetup groups. We have our Twitter handle, which is Global AI Communities. We are part of the Global AI community, and there are lots of other topics and sessions focused on AI. Feel free to jump in and follow us there. If you're interested to submit a session, please, here's the link. Sarah will kindly put up the link in our YouTube channels, and feel free to submit your session. If you are interested or you have an interesting topic that you want to share with others, feel free to drop us an email. We are looking for a speaker all the time, and we are happy to take you on board. So here's the link. Please submit your session, and we'll take it from there. I'm super excited for tonight, but there are a couple of agendas that we're gonna cover. We're gonna dive into a few news as JK is gonna share with us, and as well we're gonna have our regular session, and in the end we're gonna have our QA. One interesting thing that we added, and we're gonna try it out, is our we're gonna play a game tonight. So if you have a few minutes to spare after the session, feel free to stay on. We are trying to try different things during our sessions and see how we go. We want to make it more interactive. So tonight we decided to play Among Us. My nephew plays Among Us all the time, so it's my second time playing it, so it will be interesting to see how we can play. We're going to share the link in the end, so if you're free, please stay on and we can have a game as well. We are trying to have different ideas tried out to make our session more interactive and more fun. So if you have any ideas, anything that you think it will be fun to try, please drop us an email. We are looking for feedback as well. So let's dive into news. I'm going to pass it on to JK and we'll go to the news.
Hi everyone, thank you, Sami. I'm JK, and today I'm going to give you some news for this month. So Sami mentioned World Science Festival in Brisbane last session, and what's important about this event is that it's actually happening this week, and we're going to have the Cultural Championship in the Edge AI this Saturday, and this Sunday we're going to have Unleash Your Disruptive Tag Gig. So that I think is going to be very interesting if you're in Brisbane to check it out. It's been organized by Queensland AI Hub, which sponsored us in the past, and we work with them pretty closely, as well as Queensland XR Hub. So let's go for the next news. So with the Microsoft Ignite, Microsoft announced Azure Percept, which essentially allows you to just buy some hardware from Microsoft that is already well integrated into the Microsoft Edge. What that basically means is you can get some of the data from the cloud, some of the algorithms from the cloud directly on your device, so they can work a bit offline. And they have introduced Azure Percept Vision, Audio, and Trusted Platform modules. So what Vision does is just an RGB camera, which has a lot of algorithms and AI models on the device. So you can remotely update all of that or run it on the cloud, whatever you need. And Audio is an interesting one, which allows you to use 4 microphone arrays and then do various things like speech recognition, or you can try to recognize specific noises in the environment. What that means is if a machine is giving out weird noises, like you're in a nuclear reactor, you can basically react to that sooner than, for instance, if you have something with vision. And Trusted Platform is just to consolidate all of the data and then send it safely to the cloud. All right, and the last news that I have prepared is Google AI Chimera. And this one is interesting because it's a different kind of AI that we're used to. So in a sense, is an AI tool for game developers to try out and see how balanced their games are. So for instance, if they have a cardboard game where each card has special abilities and the players can build their own custom decks, this basically allows them to figure out how balanced their games are, how balanced specific decks are, and they can then do changes to individual cards to see whether they have made an imbalanced system or not. So that is a really interesting thing. It's an interesting tooling to think of, and hopefully they'll bring that to more development tools like what we do in our line of job, like developing websites and stuff like that. It would be really awesome if we could just run an AI that just checks if all of the validation text boxes is done correctly and stuff like that. So hopefully that will trickle down to our kind of applications as well. And that's for now all of the news that I have. And I'm going to move back to Somi.
Thanks, JK. That was very interesting. I like the gaming tool that Google has put up. It's going to be very interesting to dig in and see what other capability it has. That was interesting. Thanks for sharing the news. And now I'm excited to have Leila, our lovely guest, added to the stream. And she's well known. She doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to have her on so she can say hi. Hi, Leila.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much, Somi, Duran, and everybody in the AI fam. I love the presenting here. It's really interesting. I love the news, and I'm looking forward to the game after my presentation. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad that you're going to stay on. Thanks for joining us and having making time. I know it's a bit late down in Auckland, so I really appreciate your time. And I'm glad that you accepted our invitation. How's your day? How was I know I'm going to say it again, Nuruz Mubarak. I know you celebrated New Year, same as me. So I'm excited about the New Year because we started a new century. I hope you had a good time there.
Yeah, it was great. Actually, it was a great weekend. I had a great weekend with a Nowruz celebration. And today I was another AI conference named AI Show in Auckland. And just back from there to here, so sorry it's a bit late for Brisbane time, so that's my fault actually.
No, it's all good. So you had a full-on AI week.
Yes, this is good.
Oh, glad to hear. All right, do you want to share your slide and we dive into the presentation?
Sure, I'm going to share my screen.
I'll drop off the stream, but I will be in the back, so if you need anything, just point me.
Sure, thank you.
It's all
okay.
Good.
Cool. Oh, just a minute, sorry, just the primary one. Cool. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me on the session about Azure Machine Learning Services, a technical overview that what we have over there and what we can actually do with that. So a bit of mine, actually, I'm Leila, based in Auckland. I work in a company named Ratacat that we do mainly data analytics with Microsoft Power BI and also AI tools in actually there. And I used to be a developer, so I used to be a C# developer. Then gradually I become a database developer and then BI. And now actually I mainly focus on AI side. So if you have any question about the presentation that I have, this is my email address, Twitter and LinkedIn. More than happy to be in touch, share your experience, hear about what tools you're using. So I'm open to everything and really love to share idea. Okay, so About machine learning on Azure. So yeah, there are actually lots of things happening in machine learning in Azure, from some pre-built tools to kind of the programming tools that we can have. So it's actually, we have tools that they are domain specific prepared models, like cognitive services, vision, speech, language. We have actually some tools that is familiar with people who are data scientists, using bringing PyCharm, Jupyter Notebook, that we are going to look at that, coding in Visual Studio and do machine learning, and of course command line through that. And also popular framework, there's also possibility to bring them like PyTorch, Onyx, TensorFlow, and the other. And also productive services like using Azure Databricks, Azure Machine Learning that I'm going to talk about, and also, of course, VM for machine learning. So you can see that actually is really broad. And also, of course, we have a powerful infrastructure from CPU to GPU and FPGA that support the training and the model. So you can see variety of the different things happen in Microsoft Azure. But for Azure Machine Learning Services, what we have is actually, we have about couple of artifacts that we have. So we have models that actually, there's a place that we can store our models that we have from actually from the one that we created inside Azure, or model from other resources. You will see that how we can actually bring the model there. We can create different experiments. We can create pipelines that actually do the kind of training and processing and deploying process as a one cycle, and every time we can back and see that one. We have compute target that actually help us to do parallel processing and huge amount of data processing there. And of course, access to different data resources and easily deployment and create images. So this actually, that's a very wide overview that what we have inside Azure. So if I want to categorize the Azure ML workspace that we have, it has three different parts. One part that we call it for the business user, and you don't need to write any code. So it's automated ML that actually already has been used in for people who use Power BI or AI Builder. There is a part for predictive analytics that actually using that one. We have a part that actually needs a bit of code and bit of understanding of machine learning, and that's actually Azure ML Designer. Sorry, I forgot to write the designer one, and is kind of good for developer people who knows machine learning, but they prefer to not coding. And the last one is actually that's pure for data scientists, that they know how to code in Python and they want to actually code there, or they have their own models and they want to actually use the Azure notebook. So we can actually have these two together. So the first one that I'm going to talk is automated ML. But before that, I love to actually show you the environment first. So back to the actually environment here. Sorry, just back to here. So Azure ML is a component in Microsoft Azure, same as the other one. You need to set it up. It's available in different region and is easy setup. So here when you create it, is actually create a launch studio. You navigate there and you will see an environment like this. So it's actually, it has a place that is about, if I can zoom it, let me see. It's better to be zoomed so I can see that. And as you can see, we have author. So the notebook one that I talk and can be used for data scientists. Automated ML, that's actually mainly there is no code part, and the designer that I talk. So a designer is actually same as, so similar to what we have in Azure ML Studio. So 90% same as what we have through that. So people who works with that one, they are actually, it's kind of the same. In the assets, actually, we have our store that we can store our models. If I back to the model, so the model that you have. As you can see, you can create your own model, or you can bring the model framework from different parts. So you can see here that actually, yes, one of them is coming from automated ML. You create the model in automated ML, I'm going to show you. Or you can bring other model from other services, from Onyx, from R, from PySpark. So this is actually bring, so you don't need to actually just be limited to automated ML. You're able to bring your model and import your model over here and then deploy it as a web service. So that's a kind of the good things about that. Also, we have the endpoint. So after we create a model, we publish it. So it's become like a web service, and it actually gets us some endpoint that is a URL and key. So you can bring any model from different resources and apply the data that you have, and then create a web service. So that's one of the, I can say, the scenario that we can use for Azure ML workspace here. You access to the different data store, so you can create different data store, as you can see, from Azure Blob to Data Lake Gen 2, SQL database, and the others. So that means that, for example, you can bring your data to Data Lake, then you have a model in Onyx, or for example TensorFlow. You bring the data, apply the data and the model, and then deploy it as an endpoint. So it's kind of provide lots of actually flexibility for us. So this is our data store. That means that we can connect to this data, and then we use one of the data as our main data set to actually to work with that one. Another thing that actually we have is a compute. So we have 4 type of the compute over here. Compute instance that actually has been used to run for the Jupyter notebook, and also for the running the code. We have compute cluster that mainly used for the actually for the aim of the running the training code through that. Also, we have an inference cluster and attached compute that can be used for the production purpose. So we have different type of the compute over here. You can create different one. As you can see, you have access to the different compute with a different size and things. The only thing is the cost that actually, of course, is better. I mean, that more functions, more RAM and storage, definitely is cost a bit more. So you can see that it's kind of, we can see as a package. And the last one that is actually is really interesting is a pipeline. So you can create the training process as a pipeline. So every time data comes from a specific place, train the model, test the model, and then this process can be scheduled. So you can create a pipeline to avoid that one. That's also really one of the interesting one. Okay, so let's go to the automated ML. Because running on here, because of they apply different algorithm, may take time. I'm already run something here, but I'm going to show you the result. But before that, let's have an overview on the automated ML. That's actually one of my favorites. So imagine that actually, the machine learning process. We have data, we clean the data, we build and train a model, and after that, we are going to deploy it. So imagine that we are going to do it with a car. So we have a problem with a car. We are see that how much a car is worth. So for example, we are going to see, okay, to calculate to predict that how much a car price should be, we have different features like mileage, condition, car brand, and the other. And also for each of them, we may apply different actually algorithm. So there are many, this is a problem of many data scientists or people who are new to the data scientists, that actually, okay, I know that there are a list of 10 or 12 algorithms that I can use, for example, for clustering or for the classification or regression, but which of them is better? So we need to apply all of them in a different data. So In the automated ML is actually what is going to help us to do feature selection. So select the features that has most impact, and also is going to try different algorithm on our data with a different parameters that it has. So this actually become like a loop. So it's going to apply different features, combination of different features with different algorithm and different parameters. So doing a feature selection, if I want to talk in a data science language, so it's do the feature selection, model selection, and hyperparameter tuning. So doing that for the as many as iteration to come up with the best evaluation. So this is really good actually. So as a people who actually works in with a different cause, if you want to come up with a best answer, we need to follow that. We need to do hyperparameter hyperparameter actually selection. That means that which parameter works better with a which range, and we need to know the each algorithm parameters, how to set them. So even if you don't have that one, so automated ML help you to doing that without knowing how to do that. So that's a kind of the process of the automated ML. Let's back to the actually the presentation. So this is my automated ML environment. So here we actually is a start with the automated run. So you select the data set, you configure. I'm just go through the some steps to show you. So this is the data set that I have. I can bring my data set from my data store that is actually here. If you see that data store, so for example, it can be blob or storage or SQL or whatever, from local machine, from open data source, or from web. So I already bring this one through the web. And then here is actually you can kind of select the one, the experiment that you have, you specify the which column you have. So this is the data about bike rental in the different days. So I'm going to actually predict that in a specific weather and holiday, how many bike will be rent. So that's the one. And then also we need to select a compute. Then we go to the next step, and here we actually have 3 tasks. So for people who works with the AI Builder or with the Power BI Premium, this kind of familiar one. So we have 3 main tasks, that is classification, regression, and time series. So at least we need to know that. So this is I think the only things about machine learning things that not the only one, but one of the one that we need to know is what is the difference between classification, regression, and time series forecasting. So to select each of them, and after that we also need to know the parameters that we have. So from all machine learning things, we need to know what is the difference between classification, regression, and time series, and we should know that what variable we are going to evaluate. So in this example, because I'm going to predict how many car will be rent, so I'm using regression, and these are the metrics to actually for the accuracy checking of how much the algorithm is good. So these are the algorithm. It's good to know them. So there are different definition for them. What is the normalized root mean square? What is R2 and the other? So that's a one thing that is good to know. So we choose one of them. Here we can actually draw a list of the algorithm for regression. So as you can see here, we can choose which one not using. So by default is going to apply all of them, but here you actually block the one that you don't want. And here you specify the training job time, how much takes. So the default is 3 hours, so it goes for 3 hours. You can specify a metrics threshold, so it's no over that. And you can actually have a validation tab. So that means that cross validation part, there are different approach that we have. Again, it's good to know the what they are doing, not the algorithm behind them, just how they actually important, and the maximum number of iterations. So after you done, so it's actually say, yeah, I don't want that. Then you click on the finish, and it's going to run. I don't doing that because it takes time, and I'm going to show you the one that's actually done. So it's actually one of the round that I did it yesterday actually. So it actually shows you the detail. How long does it take? For me, it takes about 1 hour and 10 minutes. And it's find actually the best algorithm over here. But before I'm going through, I want to show you other part that is about actually the models that is fine. So here, as you can see, is going to try different models for me. So you see the list of the models, and you can see that based on the value. So these are the best actually kind of the algorithm that we have. So you can click on explanation. And actually, I think I didn't enable the explanation for this one, so don't worry, but it's actually show you the explanation why is actually the best one or not. Let me see that. Yeah, it's actually create the one. You can create one through that, and actually kind of the data explorer, what is the data is about. You can see that. Also, you can see the aggregate feature importance that I found it really interesting. So for the rental car, which factor has more impact on the rental? So the day, the actually holiday, or the temperature. So you see that the which day we are have is actually has much more impact. And actually individual feature importance also is another one. So again, you can see the day has higher. So it's kind of give you lots of analysis. Besides, it also show you the process that actually how long does it take. So all of them has been here. So now you're actually happy about that. You can download this model and save it. And for example, later on, you can back to here. Let me open here. So you can download this model because it's good. And then you can, for example, open it and actually import it here and use the automated ML one. Or if you don't like, actually, you can, here, you can actually deploy it. So when you deploy it, it's going to create actually a compute type for you, and you can use it for the final use, create a web API through that. So these actually, that's one. So you can put, for example, I said that bike rental, something like that. Say that, yep, just deploy. I use the ACI because I'm not going to the productionize it. If you want to productionize it, you should use the AKA, that the keyboard nuts actually for the actual deployment. I'm not going to use that one. So it's going actually going to deploy the model. So it's going to deploy. It's take a bit time to be actually deployed, and after the deployed is actually you should see an endpoint over here. It's going to create the endpoint for me. I think it doesn't show the URL, but after that a URL will be created. It take a bit time to create it. So you see that how is actually is easy to work with automated ML. This is one of my favorite one that's actually really good for, at least for prototyping. Definitely is the one that I totally recommend if you want to doing that and you don't have any experience with AI. That's a really best choice to use that. Another one that actually I'm going to talk about, the second one is actually Azure ML Designer. That's same as Azure ML Studio, so similar. Just the thing, people ask me that, are they in the back, they are connected to each other? No, they are not. So for example, if you create something in Azure ML Studio, for example, 2015, because this environment started in 2017-18 actually. So no, they are not connected to each other, but actually they have the same one. Let's have a look through that. I'm just going through here. So just click on Designer. We can go and check one of them that actually is, for example, this one, the regression one. So as you can see here, it has a drag and drop environment. And so you can actually drag and drop environment, put it everything over here very easily. It has data sets, some sample data set like this one, some tools for data transformation, and feature selection. You can even write Python or R language. and also you can do text analytics, kind of even write, do the anomaly detection and write SQL statement. So you can see here, that was the example of the predicting the price of the automobile car. So here we have a rows of the data. We select some of the columns from there. Then we check that if the data has been missing or not, and do something about data missing over here. And then here we split the data for testing and training. So as you can see here, using Azure ML Designer, people needs to have some knowledge of the machine learning. So it's really needed at least to know the process that, hey, we need data cleaning, what sort of data cleaning we need, normalize the data, and the other thing. Also, they need to know some, but they don't need to write code or worry about the algorithms they want to use. So they are set of the algorithm that actually they can use. So as you can see here, there are 19 algorithms from regression to classification and the other. So after you create everything here, you can kind of you submit. That means that you need to actually run, and when you actually run it, it's going to be run. So this is one. Now I'm going to actually create a real-time inference. That means that ready this model for the production. So it's going to actually create a environment for me that I can create the web service out of that. So it may a bit take time, but is actually, let me show you through here, is actually create a environment like this that you can add the web service input and output for you. Everything, there is no training happen here, so everything becomes like a pack. So these are the format of the transformation, apply the data. This is the format schema of the data, and then is actually we have an output one. So let me see, it's make a bit time. So I take a time till it's running. Oh, there's some maybe, yeah, there are maybe some error on the server not available. Sometimes this happens. So you create a pipeline through that. So I will show that one to you. And after that is actually is create a web service, and you can easily use it through that. So it's kind of become a very kind of as a deployed as a predictive service. And you can, for example, in this example, it gives you an endpoint and the key, and you can provide. So this is an example of that, and you can use it in the Python. So that's a kind of really how it can be useful, and you can use it. Before I'm going to the next one, that is Azure Notebook, just any question?
No, Leila, there's nothing in, no questions.
Okay, cool. So I'm going ahead and going to the last one, that actually Azure Notebook is one of my favorites. So it's actually, it has a, for people who works with a Jupyter Notebook, they need the environment to write the code and actually run what they, in a Python they have. So that's a place. So they can create easily a new file, or they can actually upload their files and folders that they have. So for example, if they want to create, you can see they can create a notebook, a Python, a R, a text file, and the other. So you can create a notebook, sorry, and I just said AI community, and it's going to create a notebook for us to run the code. So just take a couple of seconds. So similar to what we have actually inside Azure Synapse. If you work with Azure Synapse, you will see we have the same notebook. So this actually is a coding area. I think some problem with the portal is going, yep, it's created. So as you can see here, we need a compute to run it. So when we actually define that compute, if you're going back to the here, if you remember, we defined some compute to actually run that. So this is the compute instance that we have. So from here also you can connect. So for example, you create a compute, you can right click here and actually sign in you to the Jupyter notebook. So both of them is kind of working the same. I'm just waiting till it's coming, ask me the authentication. And yeah, so as you can see here, you can actually connect me to here. So it's connect you to the actual Jupyter notebook through here, and you can run it. So there are also some samples. So it's so similar to what I have here. So here also you can, if you're not comfortable here, you can open this editor in Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab. So both of them working. If you're using some of the libraries from Azure ML, I totally recommend to use the actually Python 3.6 for Azure ML, because Python 3 sometimes doesn't recognize some of the actually libraries that we have. So here is a code place. So you see that all of the process that we go through Azure ML Notebook and the other, we can do it here. We can write code here and create endpoint and everything. So you see that three ways of the doing. One for the business user with limited access to the change the algorithm. The second one, we have more flexibility, but still we couldn't change the whole of the parameter in the algorithm. And this last one, that's the Azure Notebook, is actually lots of possibility and flexibility, but you need to write lots of code. So here is actually the environment. So you can write actually markdown, that means a text, or you can write actually, you can add a code. So here, if you click on here, you can create a code cell, or you can create a text one. So this is a text one. I'm going to run it. So it's going to bring some of the Azure ML library for me, and some information about this notebook was created. Setting up the workspace. So there is a function named for workspace from config that actually get the configuration of the workspace. The Azure ML experiments, for example, this is the name of that one. So everything that we actually in the graphic, in the GUI we created here is by code. So there is a function experiment that actually equal to actually this one. Where is the experiment? Sorry, this one. So it's actually going to create a experiment name AutoML bike forecasting here. So if you want to see that, let me go to show you that. Actually, I have that experiments over there. It's already created for me because I run it there. So automated bike forecasting is actually, when I run that one, is actually going to create a new one for me. It's asked about the subscription ID, workspace, SKU, resource group, and everything. So here is actually set it up. Then after that is going to create the actually a compute for you. So this is the compute cluster name. Again, if I back to the what I have here under the compute cluster, this is the one that actually has been created. Again, back to here. So this is the one that I have. So it choose that it should be a standard D2 with a maximum node 4. So if you look at here, is actually create this one for me through the code. So you see that everything is codable. So just, and this setup then is going to access the data store. I hope that is able to get the data. So this is my data that is going to upload it. So again, because this code, you can get the data from there. I hope that actually maybe I didn't put the right data over here. So just show it to you. So here you specify the target column, then the data set, split the data, same thing. And also forecasting. This is a forecasting one. So you remember when I'm using the automated ML, in the place I choose classification, regression, and forecasting. So here is a place that we choose which algorithm we want to use. And you remember that there is a place that we need to specify which metrics we want to actually use to evaluate and compare the different algorithm. So here in the AutoML config, under the primary metric, we can specify. And these are the block algorithm that we don't want to run. This is the one, and everything. So you can see that everything here is codable, and it's kind of going from here to, actually, let me go through done, is actually from download the prediction result, calculation, everything can be done through that. If you click on this sample, there are a bunch of them that actually you can see that. I totally recommend to go through them. They are really good exercise over there. So that's a kind of the really good one. So that's kind of, I can say, it's possible, and you can use it, all of them. You can create a pipeline, all of them, and this can be trained happen. So if you already have a data science team, you don't want to use the machine learning model that we have here, so you're welcome. You can bring your code here, and you can consume the data that you have in Azure, use the Azure ML notebook, apply any model that you have, and then send the data back to the other resources. It can be Azure Synapse, it can be Power BI, it can be any places. And this kind of much flexibility actually provide lots of benefit for people. If you want to learn, and also because we have a discussion about how we can actually start to learn what is going on, there is a really nice, I can send the link over here. That's a Microsoft learning path. I really love this one. It's really written very good. So there is a learning path, the second one, that actually create no-code predictive with Azure Machine Learning. I totally recommend to actually go and follow that one. This is good for learning. Also, this is good if you want to attend the exam, AI 900, that because of the COVID situation, there is a discount on that. That's really, I think, is really good. So it's for people that many people, their salary impacted, or they have to change the job, or they lose the job. So it's actually, they can just attend this exam and learn and just pay $15 US. That's not actually that much, and kind of learn that. But however, if you, again, you can actually go through this code, and it's really easy to follow. So because I'm also teaching this course for women, and many of them actually at home, they easily try it. Some of them don't have any actually kind of that much IT background, but still they can follow. So it's really well written. There are some nice examples over here that I totally recommend. So for both Azure Automated ML, for designer, create classification, clustering. So that's a really good resource to learn. I can kind of share the kind of the test here. Maybe we will share it later, you guys. So this is the kind of overall. Of course, it's not possible to finish it now. I just want to provide an overview. That's what we have, and lots of things to explore, and kind of see that how you can use it in your organization. And I love to be in touch, and let me know if you work with something. I'm also, you have any problem through that, I'm really more than happy to be involved. This kind of motivation for me to learn more. So please back to me if you have any question about using Azure ML. It's kind of something, if I can help, I will do that. Otherwise, I will ask other, or I refer you to a team that in the team that actually they do the Azure ML. So this just that. And thanks so much. Thanks so much for your actually time and listening to me. I'm actually ready for any question.
Yes, we do have some questions for you. Interestingly enough, the first question is around, if people want to get started learning ML, what are the 3 things then that you can recommend that they do that are a must learn for them, basically?
Cool.
You covered some of that using Microsoft Learn, but is there any other tips you can give to people?
Yeah, so yes, that's a really good question. So for the start, is actually I totally recommend to go and learn some of the fundamental things. Like for example, I'm saying that some of the you see that sometimes some of the learning path is not really clear, but this one is really good. Even people, I'm saying that with no IT, even IT background, they come from other kind of their fields, and they want to actually. I have because I have a group of AI women that actually we help them to get certified, and some of them they don't have any IT background and they want to be in AI and IT, so they start doing that. So I totally recommend, even if you are familiar, is a good start. So this learning path really is a good start. So this is the one that helped them through the how to use it and other, and also some very primary course on the actually you can find in any, I think these days there are lots of free course about the principles of the machine learning and why is that. So that's also important. And another actually skill that I think we need for machine learning is about how to work with data. So these three actually help each other. So I think it's good idea to start with all of them. So if you already have a data analysis experience, so start to improve yourself through the models and machine learning and how to in production use it using these tools. If you already know machine learning models, so I recommend that you go to improve your skills in data analysis and also how to use the codes and the other inside other application.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The second question we have is from Sumi. She wants to know on model creation, how do we know which feature algorithm we should use?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good one. So let me back to the here. So under the run. So when we actually run the models, so it's going to run the models for the different algorithm and different ones. So finally, it gives us the metrics here. You remember that when we create the algorithm in automated ML, it asks us which metrics you want to choose to evaluate to find which algorithm is better, which was actually we choose spear correlation. Okay, so this is the top one, the one that you see at the top is the best algorithm that we have. So is actually this is the best one. About the explanation, yes, there should be an explanation over here. Unfortunately, I didn't enable that one, so I couldn't see that. But yes, there is some charts about, for example, some of the charts that we can actually create. And here we can kind of create something, but still we need to enable that one. I didn't enable it, sorry. So otherwise we can see that.
I've got a question for you. I'm trying to work on some analytics at the moment where I'm analyzing pictures, images, just to look at image distance between objects, that kind of thing, basically. So if I wanted to do that, or at least come up with a proof of concept for that, would you recommend going down the AutoML route? And if
So you want to find the distance between the object, am I right?
yes, that's correct.
So there are two ways actually to doing that. One is of course through code. Another one in the cognitive services we have object detection. So object detection is actually give you the position of the object. So it create a rectangle between the object, and so that's actually give you a dimension. Then you can easily calculate that one. I can show you through cognitive services here, but that's actually I think that try with that one because for that one you don't need to write any code, it's just available. But if it doesn't work, then do that. So there is a custom vision AI. Let me, they are the same. So custom vision .ai, that's actually the main platform that help you to do the image classification, image object detection. Or also let me here cognitive series custom vision, something like that. Actually you should go through that. Yeah, so that one is actually doing that. So it's find the distance between the each object and help you through that. So if I let me see, it's going there. So here we have you specify actually, I didn't create any one, but you can actually have an object detection that create a rectangle. So I recommend this one.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We have another question from Sami. In terms of the algorithms or the features we were discussing before, do we need to use all of them, or will they be blocked regardless? If you don't select one automatically,
So
will it use all of them?
Don't say when it's going to avoid all of them, and about that we need all of them or not. So it's good to have a knowledge that which one is working there. So for example, KNN algorithm that we have, KNN is really fast one and is really prone to overfitting, or decision tree is also prone to be overfitting somewhere. So if we have that knowledge that which these one is good, so we can eliminate, so we save time because less algorithm better. But sometimes in some scenario we don't have any idea, so it's better to run all of them.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Looks like we have more questions coming through. Nathan has one. So Nathan basically wants to know, how much importance does stats knowledge have in ML?
So again, this depends on which tools we use that. So definitely, if you as a kind of person that knows the coding, so yes, people who are using the notebook, they create their own algorithm, so they need to know a bit of statistics regarding the machine learning. You know, when we talk about the statistics or learning R or Python, because they are a broad area, so there are lots of things. I think it's a waste of time to put on learning other aspects that not related to the machine learning. So learning statistics that's needed for machine learning, for example, the one that's related to the neural network or the decision tree, how to normalize the data, that kind of statistic can be helpful. But the one that is maybe related to the kind of probability or the other, maybe not that much. About if we are the user that use automated ML or designer, we don't need at all.
Okay, thank you. We've got another question from David, who wants to know what's the most cost-effective option to start with ML?
Cost effective. So definitely, I think because the compute, so here I also forget to stop it from last night. So the one that is really get time is actually this compute. So as much as is actually running is going to be cost. So as much as our algorithm training time lower, so we paid less, but we lose some accuracy. So it's kind of the pros and cons. And so the Azure machine learning itself doesn't cost that much, so it's not just a service. The only part that costs is actually these compute that we run through them. So the compute instance or the compute cluster that when they run is actually they can impact lots of that. So the most cost effective is about that we know that how much data we have, so we prepared and kind of do the training based on the one that the best algorithm we have. So as much as knowledge we have about the algorithm, we choose smartly, so we waste less time, so it's better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't see any more questions in the chat window for now. Guys, if you do want to reach out to Leila, I'll put her details into the comments section. Please feel free to reach out. Alternatively, reach out to one of us, the organizers, and we will contact Leila for you.
Thank you.
I do have one more question. Somebody wants to know if you can share the data samples that you used today.
Oh yeah, I will share the link of the data. So let me, because it's actually a Microsoft one, so I can share the link through that. I got it from the that's learning path. So I use the one that's accessible to everyone. I can share that one with you. Yep, definitely. And also, yep, I will share it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Since seeing as there are no more questions, I might pass you back to Sami.
So I stopped sharing. So
please, Sami, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It it was a really good session. And I guess you made it a bit simpler because I have a little knowledge of ML, but the explanation was very simple. And the learning pack, actually, I went through that learning pack. It is very, not knowing ML Studio, it was very easy to follow the steps. So I guess it's a good start if anybody wants to jump into ML and learn how to use different algorithms or different features. I guess it's, as you said, it's a very good place to start. Thanks for sharing that. So Sarah is going to put that link up for people to use. Thanks again, Leila, for joining us tonight, and hope you stay back. We're going to play a game if you have time.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good. So let's get on with the rest of the presentation so we can jump into the game. Sure. Thanks again, Leila. Alrighty. I hope you all enjoyed the session tonight. Our next session is going to be 29th of April. Guest and the topic will be confirmed and announced soon. As I said, we have our GitHub. If you are interested in public speaking, if you have a topic, AI-related topic, of course, to share, and if you want to be a public speaker, this is a good space to start with. So if you have any ideas, please submit your session. We'll get in touch and we can take it from there. We are looking for a speaker all the time. So please do contact us. As I mentioned earlier, we are part of the global AI community, so feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. There is a lot of variety content over there, so you can, again, AI focused. You can jump in between different content, and you can see even we're going to upload our session live over there as well, so you can rewatch the session or any other session that we had in the past few months. So you can rewatch them over there as well. So subscribe to our global AI community channel and follow us there. If we are keen to improve. If you have any feedbacks or suggestions for us how to improve our meetups, please do share that with us. We love your feedbacks, and we're trying to try different things, as I said earlier as well. So please, Sarah is gonna put the feedback link up in the chat as well. So submit your feedbacks, and we're keen to hear from you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was a great, I enjoyed the session. I hope you all do. Stay back if you have some few minutes to spare. We're gonna play a game, and JK is gonna explain a little bit about the game, and then we're gonna dive into the game. Thanks again. Hope you all have a good night.
Hi everyone. Today, we kind of tried to do something different at the end of the session, and we're going to try to play Among Us game. So if anyone hasn't heard about this game, essentially what it means is you're on a starship, and you have one or more imposter. And what happens is that the imposter tries to sabotage the spaceship, while the others are trying to fix it so they can come back to Earth. So I think the easiest way to do this is I'm going to start the game, and I'm going to share the code. Make sure that you are on Azure. Just a moment. I'll actually share my screen so that you can see. Let's screen share. Allow. So what you do is you just go online. You make sure that over here, you put it as Azure. And then over here, we go public. So not public. Enter private code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here APAC AI. Create the game. I'm going to have one imposter. English, confirm, and now I'll have a code where you can enter. So the code is, let me go to the PowerPoint. Yeah, just try to copy the code. And you can get this game on Android, or you can get it in Steam. And we'll probably play like half an hour or 45 minutes. So you can join at any time. And Yeah, should we just quick question to Saraf, Somi, and David? Should we organize a Zoom meeting just to be able to communicate? You muted. Oh,
As
by the way,
always.
this is not going to be live. We'll finish off the live session right after this.
Okay. Yeah, I just use the code, so I'm okay with the Zoom link. If you want, we can jump on over there.
I'll just then quickly share the Zoom link, and we're going to finish the live session on YouTube.
Awesome.
All right, so copy invite link. The link is in the YouTube comments, so you're welcome to join.
Alrighty, so we'll see you all over there.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.
And have a nice Easter. It's coming up very soon. See ya.
True. All right.